Oh my God, that's an amazing choice. I love that. That's another one. I feel like there's just no misses. Like everything about it is good. And it just like, it serves the story so well. Like that's when you know they're doing it right. All right. How about Issa? What's your favorite movie soundtrack or TV?
I think I have so many because like I would like play them all on piano when I was a kid because I was obsessed with them. But I think one of them is probably Pirates of the Caribbean.
Good choice. That's another classic. I like that.
Yeah. Anything haunted.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Hey Joey, how about you? What's your favorite movie or TV soundtrack?
I'm gonna say Josie and the Pussycats or the Rugrats soundtrack.
Ooh, okay.
Yes.
That's giving me like flashbacks.
Yes.
To
I
an
still
earlier
listen
life.
to it. Yes.
I like that. All of these, I feel like, especially Finding Nemo, like these are taking me back to a simpler time in my life. Yes, oh my God, in the chat, the Rugrats theme song is a bop.
Take me there.
So good. I can like
So
hear
good.
it playing in my head now.
The
This
video.
is unlocking memories. Yes, yes.
They're in a crib, baby crib. It's crazy.
All right. Oh, and I'm seeing Abby just dropped the contact sheet in the chat. So everyone that's on right now, I'll be plugging this all throughout our events today. But if you want to connect with all the beautiful people that are on the event, you should definitely drop your info on the contact sheet. And it's super easy to connect with everyone that's here. So yeah, I'll be plugging that our whole time. But I'll just say it right off the bat. Abby will be dropping it a bunch in the chat if it gets lost. All right. It looks like we've got a pretty good group on. Ooh, yes, Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. That is a great choice. That's so good. All right, I think we're pretty much good to go. So why don't we get started? And anybody else who isn't on yet still has some time to hop on while we're just getting our intros done. Yeah, so why don't we get started? One sec, I'm closing Zoom things because so many tabs. Okay, yeah, so why don't we get started? Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's event, Music on Screen. For anybody who didn't hear at the beginning, my name is Jenna, and I'm a manager here at Finesse Media, and I'm going to be your host for today. So thank you all so much for being here. I know that we're going to have an incredible conversation with our panelists today. We have two amazing panelists, Angela Lewis, who is a music supervisor, songwriter, and music producer, and Jennifer Smith, who's a music supervisor as well, and is owner of the music supervision company, Rat Dance Party. So we're going to be diving into the role of the music supervisor and specifically the relationship between music supervisors and those on the film and TV side. And I guarantee you there's going to be some gems of information. So make sure that you've got your pen and paper out, you're taking notes. I know we always say this at our Finesse events, but it's so important because we're going to be getting so much good information today. So just make sure you're taking those notes, especially for this one, because, you know, I know we have a lot of indie artists in our community and in this audience today. And sting placements can be really important to a rising artist's career. So you're definitely going to want to be listening closely to all of this information. And also just a reminder that if you can, keep your cameras on. It's a good way to connect with everybody and network and just get your face more well-known in the industry. But also make sure that your mics are muted during the interview because we want to make sure that we are really taking in all the info that the panelists are sharing. And like I said a little bit earlier, if you do want to connect with all of the people on this event, put your info in the contact sheet. It will be going around in the chat during the whole event today. So yeah, so make sure you're putting your info in the contact sheet. It's a great way to connect with everyone. And there it is. Abby just threw it in again. So make sure you're doing that. So it looks like, let me just make sure. I know Angela was having some Wi-Fi issues, which I relate. Wi-Fi has not been my friend lately. So I think she is just trying to hop back on. But while, oh, there she is. Okay, so she should be right back on. But why don't we just get started with, oh, actually, let me give a little overview of our agenda for the day, and then we'll get started with some intros from our panelists so you guys can get to know them a little bit better before we hop into the questions. So like I said, we're gonna start out with our interview, and then at around 12:45, we're gonna do our Q&A. So if while we're talking, you think of any questions at all that you wanna ask our panelists, and I'm sure that there will be lots, because I know I've got lots of questions. Just make sure you write them down, and then during our Q&A, you'll have the opportunity to ask your questions to our panelists. And then after that, we will jump into what's always my favorite part of the event, and that's our listening session. So why don't we go ahead and just get started with some intros. Jennifer, do you want to introduce yourself? Just talk a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what's been your kind of journey in the music industry so far.
Oh my gosh. Well, everyone will have to excuse me. It is early for me in LA. I've had some late nights with work. So I will be coffeeing it up during this. So hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Smith. I own a music supervision company called Rat Dance Party. And I have worked in the film and TV space for about over 15 years now. Please don't do the math. It's fine. I actually started as an assistant working on giant shows on the music team of like Dancing with the Stars. America's Best Dance Crew gave me my first break into the creative space, as well as rising up with Dancing with the Stars. I worked on the Ellen Show, a lot of really big, amazing network shows. And then I caught the attention of a small independent publisher. Then you're going to start doing the math. Cobalt Music, I'm sure no one's ever heard of it, right? And I helped build out their film and TV department. I was there for almost 7 years when, so I got to work on the other side of my job, working with representing our roster, pitching it for opportunities, original songs, doing the business, as well as the creative with our amazing roster. American Idol had been calling me for a while. They have a great music team, and when they went over to ABC, they were like, this is the last time we're calling you to join our team. And so I was ready to move back into my first love of content. I am a storyteller at heart. As much as I love working at record labels and publishers, my heart has always been as a storyteller. So I joined the fabulous American Idol team. The word got back on the street, I was back. And you can't do an amazing giant show like that and other projects. So I didn't re-sign my contract for an additional season, and I started my own company. So I have worked on Deadly Illusion, which is Netflix. I've worked with Mark Cherry a lot, who created Desperate Housewives. I did the last season of Why Women Kill. I work on Behind the Music. So I do reality, scripted film, and I also am working in the podcasting media space for scripted content. So that's kind of how I came. I think it's important, especially for my job. Going to work on the music side made me a stronger supervisor and storyteller as well, which I think is really important. So just to put this out there, music supervisors do not pitch music. There seems to be this common misconception. I do not represent artists. I do not do that. Producers, networks, production companies, directors, writers, they hire me to be the storyteller and helping them craft their vision of sonic sound that has to go with their creative and their story. So there seems to be a lot of misconception. So I am so happy that Jenna always is like, hey, are you free? Because knowledge is power. And if you want to do work with people like me, it's important, one, to understand our job, and two, to know the business so you protect yourself and your art as well.
Yes, that is so important.
That's just my little soapbox moment. Yeah, I'm a storyteller. I love working with scripts and stories and, all the crazy production stuff. I work on set too, if needed for music. So that's a little bit about me. I don't know if that was a good intro or not. I'm just
no, that was great. That was great. That was a great overview. And what you said is so important. I feel like music supervision, that's exactly why we're having this event, because a lot of people don't really actually understand what a music supervisor does, what their responsibilities are, how to connect with them. So that's really important to understand, that music supervisors are not pitching music. They're getting pitched to a lot of the times.
Yeah, we're getting pitched to, or if I'm working on an original song or something, I'll put together a writer's room, but that's, again, to write for the script, which is my project, which is my client's type of thing. And a music supervisor is the head of the music department. If you want to think about it from a production standpoint, we're the head of the music department on a production.
Yes.
So that's like the really simple.
Yes, that's perfect. And I know that Angela is still getting herself settled.
Trying to get to Starbucks. So she
yes. Yes, we gotta love Wi-Fi.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's an outdoor Starbucks. So I'm down by the beaches in Florida, and I was at another engagement that was on this side of town. I couldn't get back to where I was staying in time to be able to connect with you guys. So I'm trying to find the right place. Can you guys see and hear me okay now? Because I was in the parking lot, but that wasn't working out. I was like, you guys were just like, so
no worries. Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, good.
Do you want to give a little intro into who you are and kind of what you do, what your journey's been so far?
Yeah. So basically, like right now, I have done music supervision and I enjoyed that. I hope to do some more of it, at some point in my life. I am mostly a songwriter and producer. The movie that I got a chance to work on was a Christmas film. I apologize for all the background noise. Was a Christmas film, and it was on TV1 Network. I've had some placements on TV1 as well as a producer. I missed the question because that's when I was trying to have connection issues. I was having connection issues, but yeah. So I love everything about sync. As far as music supervision, I enjoy it, like doing all the curating and listening to other people's music, especially as a creator, because I got to see it from a different perspective. Be the one to actually choose the music instead of the one that made the music. My hair is flying everywhere. The one that made the music. So it made a big difference for me because I was able to actually be the one to choose whose music I play.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up. Being a creative and working in the music supervision space, obviously music supervisors have to kind of understand the creative and business sides. That's really important, but having kind of a creative mind helps you to better understand and better choose music. So that's a really good point to bring up.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't realize this. Music's, like I said, we're the head of the music department. Our job is to fulfill the creative vision of the network, the director, the producer. That's why they hire us. But our job is mostly business, is creative second. It's a mixture of creative and business. But basically, if anything goes wrong music-wise, we're the one to blame. That could be if something doesn't clear, it comes out of budget, union fees, all the on-camera stuff. We're the head of the music department. So it's not, there's a misconception in the industry that our job is we listen and pick music. That's actually not true. And it's, again, we fulfill the creative of our vision. Our opinion doesn't matter, to be completely honest, right? So, if I'm working, Why Women Kill took place in the 20s, right? So I have people hitting me up and like, what are you looking for? I'm like, again, my show takes place in the 20s and 30s. So, that there you go type of thing. So I just want to put that out there that a lot of people think our job is listening to music and picking music. That is actually not our job. That is a common misconception because, again, we work with other people's creative budgets. The political system we have to work in is just insane. I call it the ultimate chess game every single day. So, and then we also have to hit deadlines and everything. So that's why knowing the business is very important, because that's the difference between you getting a sync placement and building a lifelong relationship with people and not, because, I'm sure Angela can agree to this, is you create relationships for years. Like, for example, I curated a relationship with a director. I do all of her films and all of her TV shows. That was a 3-year relationship before she hired me. So to be honest, I'm not going to jeopardize my business and my relationship over someone that didn't know if they were union or not. Or I don't know if I actually have rights to this song, or I used a splice sample. Please never send me anything that uses spliced or royalty-free stuff. I can't use it. It's not, those licenses are not valid for content. So, it's important to understand these things because, again, then I can be like, hey, Queen Mars, I'm working on this amazing, new film. I know you have this type of music. I would love to see what other stuff you have, because we've had a relationship for years. It's, you know, again, this is such a relationship oriented business. And it's okay to tell a supervisor like, hey, I actually don't have anything like that. That's okay. It's okay to not have something as opposed to send something that doesn't work or that you don't know.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very important. It's the relationships, especially in the music industry in general, but in music supervision specifically, are so important. This industry is all about networking. And I think that point you said about, you know, you don't always have to have what they're looking for. That's so true, because you want to be known for when you do, like, it's perfect and it works and it fits and it's, you know, one stop and it's cleared. So, you know, don't send something that's not going to work for them if you know it's not going to work for them. Like when you're looking at briefs or something, you know, make sure you have what actually fits, and don't like waste a music supervisor's time with something that doesn't, because they're getting lots and lots and lots of emails of music sent to them.
Yeah, I mean, my email is ticking right now. I had to like turn off my email dings, because it's like my email dings are never up anymore, because it's just like and it's, you know, it's also important to know, people always say, like, I'm sure Angela could agree, don't when people say, can you add me to your brief list? First of all, please don't ask someone that. It's rude. Because again, this is a relationship oriented thing. And I know I'm working so fast, you know, I work on a ton of projects at a time with my deadlines. And if I don't know what you have, I don't reach out. I reach out to like 3 people, maybe 5, and start there. So if you have a vintage catalog, for example, if I was working on a period piece, you know, there's a difference between proactive pitching and reactive pitching. Reactive is, hey, I'm looking for a female empowerment song at this budget for this type of thing. That's reactive, right? Proactive is, you know, constantly, you know, sending email blasts and keeping up to date. That if, you know, again, like, I don't know what you have, how am I supposed to reach out to you? Maybe Tammy has the best female empowerment song and I didn't know, because I didn't know she has this amazing music or something.
Yeah.
So that's like that's part of the relationship building. And don't like follow up with us. You know, we're not being rude. You know, I've definitely used a song where someone was proactive pitching me on a film, and I was looking for like a Cuban artist, right? And someone just was like, did a blast about, you know, different Latin music and artists they represent, right? And I saw that, and it just said, you know, like brand new, whatever. And I was like, oh, I've been looking for a Cuban artist. Let's see what they have. And it just popped up at the right time, and I clicked, right? Yeah. But if I never knew that, you know, type of thing. So, you know, don't be like, you know, just, it's such a push and pull, and it's not that we're rude. It's just, think about it. You send one email to me. Okay, how many people are on this? 50? Okay, 50 times, and I'm one person, and I'm working on how many projects, you know, it's just, you know, and I know it's your art and it's your craft, and like, you're really in the silo, but remember, always be human to people. Like, I try sometimes,
absolutely.
You know, I've used music that someone proactively sent me a year ago on something, and emailed them and said, hey, is this still, you know, hey, thanks so much for sending this. You know, I have a possible placement. Can you know, send the request and send it back? So, you know, like I said, it's such a relationship thing. And then for that person now, I reach out to them, right? Because I know what type of stuff they have. And I go to that person a lot and I say, hey, you know, I have a new film or whatever, and I know you have stuff like this. Please send me a playlist.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I wanted to, you know, Angela, you have a perspective as a songwriter as well as some experience in music supervision. You know, what is your kind of perspective on, you know, getting placements as both an artist, as a creator, and as a music supervision, kind of understanding both sides of that?
Yeah, it's interesting, because it's like, yeah, it is a different perspective, because, well, and I mean, I know Jennifer, you don't want the splice stuff, but I know that can be used as long as it's used in a way that is, you have to mangle your samples. You can't use it as is at any point, because you'll run into problems. As a creator, you know, if I use something like Splice, I'm using it for drum loops and things like that. And when I use it for drum loops, I'm still mangling them up. There are a lot of creative ways out there. Chris Bradley has a course out there that, she has some stuff on YouTube that she goes into a lot of how to utilize Splice samples and still be able to do it with sync. So that's something I do have a little bit of a different opinion on. As far as a creative though, even listening to the music, let me back up. As a supervisor, when I was listening to the music, something that you can't expect every supervisor to do is listen to your music from start to finish. It's not going to happen. Chris with a K. It's Kris. I saw someone put that in the chat. Sorry. I get distracted. Yeah, Chris with a K. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, so you can't expect every music supervisor to listen from start to finish. Long introductions. Some people like them, some people don't. I mean, everyone's different. For me as a creator, when I was listening to music, because it really depends on how many submissions I had for that, right? I had 2 different movies I was working on. I did 2 different times that year. And one was a Christmas movie and one was like Chicago Steppers. That one, that movie, it did go to production, but I ended up not being on the project later on because it got pushed back or something, and then they ended up using a different music supervisor. I was actually working underneath another music supervisor for those projects, and so as the creator in that duo, me and the other music supervisor, she's not really the creator. So for me, I was doing all the listening, and I caught myself listening to more of the song than I probably would have, probably because I wasn't under any time constraints, right, at that point. For the Christmas movie, we started working on that movie in February. I started working on the movie during production. So that gave me a lot of time to listen to the music that came in. You can't always expect time like that though, because there was another movie that I turned down. There was another Christmas movie that I turned down, and they gave it to us in August. So just keep in mind, February, I was working on a Christmas movie. We worked on it from February until May. In May, I was working with the director and with the composer, we were finishing up the final stuff to turn into the network. And we turned everything in May or June timeframe. So I had a lot of time to kind of, play around with different things, see if the director liked it. Also, another quick thing, directors are not always the final. So supervisors are not the final. So just because you submit something to a supervisor doesn't mean it's going to get placed. The directors are not always the final person either, or the editors. In our case, for this one, this is called was called Merry Wishmas on TV One. The network was the end all be all, and we even had notes from the network all the way at the end to say that they didn't like a song, and that we were all married. We were like, we love this song. I mean, the music supervisor, the editor, the composer, the director, all of us were like, and this was like the final that we were supposed to turn in. And we actually, we kept the song because we were like, we'll just ask for forgiveness later. We kept the song. We kept it because we really liked it, and then nothing else fit there. But I say all that to say that was from February to May. If I had taken that movie from August, the one that was in August, we would have had to finish the same. I would have had to have pretty much the same amount of cues in that short period of time. And I wouldn't have had time to listen to long intros, because there were songs that I picked that had really long intros, but I was just like, I want to give them a chance because it sounded like it was going to be a really good song. And fortunately for them, some of those songs, I was able to find pieces that fit the scene that were way further into the song, but that doesn't always happen. So put your best stuff up front, because you don't want to take a chance that your best stuff is in the middle of the bridge of the song. We might not get to the bridge of the song, and as a songwriter, that taught me a lot, because I used to sometimes just, do this really cool song, and then I would have like this really amazing bridge, and they would never hear.
Yeah, you want to grab people right from the beginning.
You know,
absolutely.
Right. And so it's changed, like supervising has changed my thoughts on supervising has changed my thoughts on how I write for, and I don't really write for sync. I would say don't write for sync, because when you write for sync, it sounds inauthentic. It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound real. It sounds fake. But I do write with sync in mind for everything that I write. So
Yeah.
like
Just keeping some of those
even-
rules in mind. Yeah, absolutely.
I keep it in mind because I always like, again, I don't say like, oh, this is for sync. I just write like that now. Like
Yeah,
I keep
because
that
you
in
want it
mind.
to sound
Like
authentic. Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to, speaking
Yeah.
of changes to the way the sync kind of works, you kind of went right into my next question. I wanted to ask you both about if anything about your job, about the way that you find music has changed in the age of streaming, in the age of TikTok, and all of this music creation that is happening constantly and being uploaded constantly. Jennifer, why don't we start with you? Have you found yourself finding music in a different way than you used to?
I would say for me, I've always been kind of an out of the box thinker for finding music, even back in my dance crew days to find hip hop. That's just kind of how I've always been. It's not always like go to your publisher, your label, but again, you have to vet it. One quick comment on the last thing. When you're talking about music for placing your music for sync, remember music has to bend a picture doesn't bend to music. So that's just something to think about, because I can't tell you how many times, like, for example, in Why Women Kill, there's a scene and, we tried to get this amazing piece of music to work and it was off by one frame and we had to replace it. Mm-hmm. So, because again, music has to bend to picture. Picture doesn't bend to music. For me, I love finding new artists and stuff. I actually don't do the TikTok thing looking anymore because the saturation is too much. But before before it was like a thing. And also, A&Rs use TikTok to sign people, which is great. So that stuff just goes into my inbox. So I don't really need to deep dive on stuff. I'm kind of old school. I still use Instagram and I look for hashtags. I'm work on projects before, I sign NDAs all day and every day. So a lot of times I'm in development, working on music and working with creators all the way through post. We're one of the few department heads that's from development to delivery. So, I could be working on a film for 3 years and starting to go down the rabbit hole of music, but I definitely use hashtags a lot. I'm a giant nerd. I have been my entire life. I read liner notes. If there's a producer I like, I go down a deep dive about who else they work with, or if there's a writer I like or an artist I like, I'll do that way. I'll look at publishing, I'll look at producers, I'll look at that and just kind of go from there too. Also, everyone in the music community talks to each other, and so we'll recommend, nerd alert, yeah.
It's okay, we all are.
I deep dive on that too, because, also it's a way for me when I'm doing original music, how to put rooms together with producers, writers, all that stuff. And also I do these things because there's so much amazing talent out there. And that's what I love about these. It's a great way to build relationships with either upcoming people or people that are established. It doesn't matter.
I want to actually point out that Jennifer, this is her second time at a Finessed event. So we're welcoming her back. We love having her on. And you're right, this is a great way to find some
I know.
music.
And for my first event, I've been I have great relationships with those women that were in there. And I've definitely licensed some of their stuff and had their stuff on earmarked for projects that haven't been announced. For hashtags, it depends on what I'm doing, right? So I hashtag by like keywords a lot. So I can't say what it is, but there's like an 80s project, YA project that I'm working on. And so I was looking for like hashtag 80s and different hashtag stuff, and then from there, this was like 2 years ago, because again, a lot of projects I'm in at the development stage, I found someone in the UK that I have built a relationship with for the past 2 years, and they're writing me an original song and they're producing sounds like modern 80s inspired. So, for me, I'm always like looking at that. And then other artists I like or people on Instagram that I'm friends with, I'll see what they're listening to. Music is such a discovery platform, which is the fun part of my job, is the research part. It's marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I use modern technology. I think I use modern and old school, but also, record labels, publishers, managers, sync reps, all those traditional routes as well I still use, but I also am a deep diver. type of thing as well.
Yeah,
So.
there's more options now for different ways to find music, and there's certainly the like old school ones. I saw in the chat, it's funny that like Instagram is like the old school way now and TikTok is like the new way that everyone's
Well, when
doing.
I worked on Dance Crew, I used MySpace. There we go.
Wow.
That's real old school. When I worked on Dance Crew, I used the MySpace a lot to find stuff or to track someone down. And, that was like a really good thing. And also, I mean, COVID's a little weird, but I go out a lot and, I'll check out opening bands and, there's always like I mean, I'm in LA, so there's like a very big music scene here. So it's like, you just know people and they're like, hey, check out my friend, or my friend's neighbor's an artist or a writer. And, my next door neighbor used to be like a hip hop drummer. Right. So, when I moved in, he was like, actually really funny story. He was working on a search that his, publisher sent him that was for my film, and I could hear him over the wall, and I was like, wait a second, it was really, really funny. And then I got the song and I just started laughing so hard. His publisher sent it to me and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. It's such a small world.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he had no idea. He had no idea that he was living next door to the music supervisor.
Yeah, so that is even to say, you never know who
You
you're
never
going to run
know.
into, who you're going to meet, who you're networking with, who they're going to become in the music industry. So that's another reason why your relationships are so important, because you never know who these people are that you're connecting with and the kinds of opportunities that they can help you to get.
Yeah, and also, be a human. Be a human.
Yeah.
I always say try to be a human, because we all are going through our own things, and and everything. So just be a human. And like I said,
I like that.
It's I get it. You're in your silo, and you like, people say, hey, can you give me feedback on stuff? Again, music supervisors don't rep music. I don't rep you. Get a sync agent, talk to your friends, all that stuff, or like come to these events, because that's an appropriate time to ask a music supervisor for feedback about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And what Angela said, don't write for sync. Like, I'm going to say this straight up. Music is art. Stay within your art. Obviously keep stuff in mind, because I said music has to bend to picture. So, understand parameters on how music is used. And here's something that a lot of people don't know is sometimes there's different, versions of a song. Like on Selling Sunset, I used a version of a song, but when it was on Spotify, it sounded different, right? Because they did a TV and film cut version of the same song, but the one that is their artist project, it's still within their artist project and it's still the same song. It was just cut different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the artist understood how picture works versus their art form, but it was still the same artist. It still got on the Spotify Selling Sunset playlist. I got everything. But just be authentic to who you are, and sync is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't know the cut, you don't know the politics, you don't know what's going on our side. And just because you're not getting sync doesn't mean that you're not a good artist, you're not a good musician or writer.
Yeah, that's really important to remember for all the artists in the room, that you can't like you said, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's a very complex world. There's a lot of relationships involved. And it doesn't mean anything about you as an artist if a sync placement doesn't work out. And actually that brings me to my next point that you brought up, relationships. I wanted to jump into a little bit more specifically what those relationships are, since that is kind of part of what our conversation is today. Just kind of there were roles that music supervisors work closely with when they're working on a project. So Angela, I wanted to pass it to you in your experience, working along with a music supervisor on a project. Like, what are the roles on the film side that you worked closely with when you were trying to kind of satisfy their vision for the show? Was it the director? Was it the producer, the editors? Who were the people that you were working with?
I got a chance to work with the editor and the director. The director is crazy, because I don't find myself one of those people who I don't get starstruck at all, but I was a little starstruck and I had to hide it, because the director was somebody I actually grew up watching on TV as an actress. It was her first film. It was her debut film. So as a director, I got a chance to work with her, Terry J. Vaughn. She used to be on the Steve Harvey sitcom show. And I got a chance to work directly with her on 2 occasions. And just being able to help fulfill her vision. So I sat in on the spotting sessions, and we actually had 2 different editors. But with what I think one of our first editors that worked on it, I sat in, his studio with the director, with the main music supervisor. And when I say the main music supervisor, she kind of curated and pulled everything together. It was kind of like, almost like you would say like an executive, of course, a motorcycle comes by, like an executive.
Oh, I think we lost Angela. Oh no.
She'll go in. I'm going to answer.
She'll be back.
I'll answer a question. So a spotting session. So a spotting session is basically.
Am I back? I'm sorry.
Oh, she's back.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll answer that
actually,
after she's finished.
Hey,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're asking what a spotting session was?
Yes, that was the question we had in the chat.
Okay, yeah, a spotting session is basically where you sit down with the director, the editor, and the music supervisor. We all sit down. We're watching the movie, and we're going over where the director's vision is for each particular scene. So I actually sat in on a spotting session that happened later on. I didn't sit down on the original spotting session, but yeah, you're kind of going scene by scene, and if there's anything that needs to be changed or they like or they don't like, you have what you call SMPTE code, which is the code that's like, if you're a producer and you change your counter bar to you can go to SMPTE and it has like 0.0000000 whatever, but it's basically like the hour, the second, the minute, the hour, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you can write that down, and that way when you're working on the movie, you can go directly to that point and help sync up the music exactly where it needs to be synced. Gotcha. And of course it's harder to do that until you have locked picture, and locked picture is basically the final that they have. But it's really good to be able to, when you're starting off, just kind of seeing, okay, they want something that's moody here, they want something with vocals here we need to have because we actually had to go through like, okay, where are we going to need sound effects? Where are we going to need source music? Source music is like the music you hear from the radio, the music you would hear in the overhead. We had a lot of scenes in this, like a senior citizen's home, and it was Christmas music. So we had a lot of music that was placed, that was supposed to be playing because it was supposed to be in the scene. Mm-hmm. And then we had the music that sounds like it's, it's brought up, and the vocals are up and the music is up. And it's like that music that's, over top of a montage, or like in a montage. It's a lot of vocabulary in this stuff, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of different, the music has to work together with also just the sounds that are happening in the scene as well. So that's something that you have to kind of spot. And Jennifer, I wanted to give you the chance to answer that question as well, real quick, with your experience before we jump into our Q&A.
Yeah. So the whole process with music is like when you're working on a film, you work really closely with the editor, right? So this is either, like especially on a film, you're working really closely with the editor, the director, the producers, all the different things. The editor and the music editor are your best friends, because before you get to the spotting session, I'm literally with them and the director, and we're talking and we're putting in music. It's a way to test music out to see if it will work. And then so like we're throwing music left and right, I'm like, okay, let's talk about the score, and I'll help source the temp score to come up with the mood that based on what the director talked about, or the producer, whoever is the creative. There's like always one person that is the creative, like the leader of the creative force, right? Sometimes it's a producer, sometimes it's a director, sometimes it's a network, sometimes, the network always has their opinions on stuff, and you kind of, they're the final say on stuff. For at least for TV. Also, sometimes when you work on a film that is bought by someone, they might say, we'll buy the film, you have to replace this cue. That happens a lot too. But yeah, so by the time you get to the spotting session, the picture's locked, and pretty much the whole vibe of sonically of the film is done. And then you sit there and go scene by scene, and then we talk about, is this actually working? We talk with the composer. We could say, in this temp score, We love, like, if it's Christmas, we love the bells and everything. But, you know, then we turn into okay, I'm going to talk about a dark Christmas film. Like, then we turn into like a murder and stuff. And the temp score is not doing what we want it to do. I want it to do this. So it's kind of like a spotting session is also a musical roadmap for composers. But a lot of times the music is already locked in there. So whenever you hear the word temp love is the bane of all of our existence as music supervisors. And to be honest, that's why I say you want your song to be temp love, because that's how it stays versus a replacement. So those briefs that come in is replacing temp love, or we put a song in there and it turned out that now that song is 3 times the fee of our budget, or there's an extra union cost we can't afford, or based on the final picture cut, it doesn't work anymore. So there's a lot of different things, but the spotting session is pretty much everything is fleshed out. The picture's locked, the story's done, the timing's done, everything. And what Angela was talking is time code. I work only in time code. Time code is my best friend. EDLs are my best friend. All those non-sexy things in life. So yeah, spotting sessions is kind of like, I would say, almost being, you know, done, and it's the roadmap to start for the composer conversations is through that temp score or that temp music. I use a lot of instrumentals as temp, you know, type of thing too, because sometimes we're just like that. That's why your music editor and you, or your editor, you talk to them so much. Like I mean, it's kind of funny about those things.
No, that's a great definition. I'm glad we kind of clarified that, because I know, you know, the spotting session is a lot of times where the music supervisor is really coming in. They're really deciding, you know, what the movie is gonna, or the project is gonna look like, and what the musical needs are for whatever the project is. So I'm glad that we got that kind of defined for everybody. So I do want to give us some time for questions, because I know we've had a lot of questions in the chat. So if you were throwing anything in the chat or you wrote anything down while we were talking, now is your chance to ask those questions. I know there was a lot coming up. So raise your hands and you can ask your questions to our panelists, and we can kind of dive into any of the things you guys are wondering about now that we've kind of had our conversation. So are there any questions? You can feel free to just raise your hand. We can call on you, and then you can unmute and ask your question. Don't be shy.
We're not scary.
Jordan, what's your question?
Hi, I just want to say thank you all for being here today. This is very informative, learning about music supervision and sync. My question is, what is the difference between a music supervisor and a sound designer?
You want me to get this, Angela?
I can do that one. I don't mind.
Go for it.
The sound designer, well, music supervisors can actually, you know, during the time where they're doing some of the spotting and things like that, could work with the sound designer. But and we did do some sound design actually in the movie I worked on, which was interesting and it wasn't like something that I would normally do for that role. But the music supervisor is curating the music. The sound designer is designing like your background sounds, your effects, your some of your Foley, which is like the sounds that you hear when you have footsteps and chairs moving and cups being put down on tables. Sound designers is more on the creative side. And I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Jennifer.
So sound design is not just for Foley as well. It can be sound designers work with composers. Sometimes a composer will do it. I do sound designing as well for podcasts, especially. I curate the sound design for environments. Think of sound design as, you know, creating the environment, right? Everything in life has the sound, not just music. And I think it's important as a music supervisor to understand sound design, because if you're working on a project where the sound design is also another character, right? So think of the dragons on Game of Thrones, right? That's that sound designer. She's fantastic. She's one of the best in the business. But those also are another form of creative art where it's creating another character. And for music, I think it's important to understand how they work together, and sometimes to understand how music bends, because if a sound is supposed to be very important to storytelling, you can't have the music step on the sound, and it has to feel like a cohesive universe. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to understand
Right.
sound and music. We do work together in the sense of understanding in sessions, or especially in mixing, we'll be talking and I'm like, okay, we need to mix the music down because of it's competing with the sound, or we want the sound to be extremely subtle. So let's mix the music up higher. So it's important to understand how we work together. It's important how we work as a cohesive unit, but that is an entirely different department. Like I said, I work with sound design on the podcast audio space, not in the visual space, but we all, audio, especially when you're working in content, you're such a team, and each department, they layer on top of each other and work together, but it is not a music supervisor's job to do sound design, because that is an entirely—
I would add, oh, sorry. I was gonna say, I would add that what you're, again, like what you said, they go together. And what you just brought up a thought that, yeah, in a way, sometimes when you're supervising something, you do have a sound design in mind, like what I was saying with the source music. You have to keep in mind that this is a senior citizens home. They're gonna have music playing for Christmas, and that's part of sound design. The mix engineer will be the one to kind of say, okay, well, let me make this sound like it's in this space. But yeah, that's really good points you brought up, Jennifer.
Yeah, why don't we jump to our next question? Thank you for your question, Jordan. And I'm glad we kind of got that figured out to kind of define for everyone as well, because those are two roles that definitely work together, as our panelists said, but they are two distinct roles. So that's really good for everyone to understand. Phoenix, I think you had raised your hand next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's also early for me, but I'm in Toronto, so no excuses. But I did want to say, first and foremost, thank you to Jennifer and Angela, and even Jenna. Everyone's doing a great job of hosting this panel. I'm learning a lot. And I wanted to ask a question. It's semi-specific, but not really. So I'm a singer-songwriter. I write. I've had songs that have been placed, but there's a specific project that I have my eyes on, and I already have the song that is perfect. The team just doesn't know it yet. How do you suggest, hi Marley, how do you suggest someone like me who doesn't have a sync manager, isn't part of a licensor family, sorry, I don't have the words this morning, but you know what I mean? Someone who doesn't have like a publisher or someone who can make that link or connection. How do you suggest someone like myself pitch this song to a production company that is currently working on this this movie that's going to be amazing and needs to hear this song?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that situation probably applies to a lot of people in this audience. So Phoenix, thank you for that question. And yeah, Jennifer, why don't you start?
Well, we've been talking about how relationships are really important in this industry. And since the project's been announced, some of the players or people involved in that. So it's about building those relationships. I say this with lots of love. Never send an email that says, I have the perfect song for your project. Have you read the script? Have you seen the cut? Do you know anything? That's like a kind of a turnoff thing. If someone were to say that to me, it's a big turnoff. So it's about building relationships. It's, for example, if like say Angela was the music supervisor, right? And then you see that Jenna's the editor, right? All you have to do is, build a relationship with them, to get your song there. It's like, hi, my name's Phoenix. I'm a singer-songwriter. This is the type of music that I do. Here's 2 songs and put that song first, type of thing. Make sure your metadata is correct. It's registered, no shenanigans, no BS, right? And then it's about curating a relationship, right? So like I mentioned before, you work on projects all the time, and okay, I know you do this now, Phoenix, and maybe I get put on that project or not. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it. It's about building a relationship with people, and that's how you get your music to people, right? And, yes, having a sync agent is another person on your team, a publisher, label, blah, 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 etc. But also at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you have a sync agent, a publisher, a label, you still need to do the work. You still need to create those relationships, because I can't tell you how many times, building a relationship, an artist has sent me a song that is absolutely fantastic. Their sync agent never sent me when I sent them the brief for that film. And the song that got put in the film was the one the artist sent me, not the rep. They still did the work. So, just cultivate those relationships. You have the information, you can do the research. We have social media, be a human. You can even, when people say, you know, that's I say that a lot, be a human. You know, I had people, you know, I had someone I built a relationship with that they were watching one of my projects and they just sent me a really nice DM saying, you know, my name is so-and-so. I've been watching these last 3 and I realized the music supervisor has been the same on that, right? And they were 3 very distinct different projects, right? And I thought that was like a really nice note. They didn't want anything. And I just respond back. I said, thank you so much for supporting art, right? And then we just started building a relationship. And then, you know, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So to answer your questions, it's all about cultivating relationships. And we live in a world now where it's easy to do it, just be human about it, you know, type of thing. Like if people go on my Instagram, yes, I have pet rats. Like people be like, I've had people just like tell me stories about, I had a rat when I was 5 and we talked about stories about our youth with our pets. And then we built a relationship that way because we were humans, right? Is that helpful?
I got you. Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Jennifer, I think what you said, you know, about how you don't necessarily have to have all these fancy people on your team that are, you know, pitching your music for you. The like resources are out there today. We have social media. We have all these different ways that we can, you know, share our music with the world and share it with people and connect with people. So all you have to do is use them. So yeah, that was great. And Phoenix, thank you so much for that question. So I think we have time for one more quick question. So Ty, why don't you ask your question?
Hi, actually, Phoenix really asked the question I was going to ask.
Oh, well, there we go.
I'll do like a quick one just to follow up. Are there any sort of memberships or just groups that we all should just kind of be privy of just to continue to build relationships? I know the Guild of Music Supervisors is one, but any other ones that we just may not know, just shout those out. And that's it.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. There are a lot of sync groups on Facebook. Facebook groups is probably one of my favorite things, period. Artist Launch is one of the groups that I manage. You want to join that, it's on Facebook. The founder of that group is actually a music supervisor, but she's no longer right now taking on any projects, but that's who I worked up underneath. Her name is Karen Marie Mason. There's For Goodness Sync by Tamara Bubble. There are different sync groups that put out briefs, but it's just also just great for networking. Just type in sync in Facebook and look for groups that have to do with sync. You will find so many different ones. Unicorn, I think, is another one. So many different groups out there. It's incredible because a lot of those groups, they'll put out just information. Yeah, of course, Rachel, Musicians Peer Support. Of course, why wouldn't I not shout you guys out? Hey, Rachel, I didn't even see you there. Rachel Delgado, she's amazing. And she has that group. Shoot, am I still here? Okay. And then just learn everything you can about sync. Jennifer, I've seen her speak on numerous platforms. And so I know she has pet rats. So I'll be reaching out to you, Jennifer, to talk. I don't have any pet rats, but I'm sure we have something else in common to talk about.
You know what? It's about an animal story, right? Just, you know, being a human. Also, Clubhouse Control Camp is a really great free resource, right? Control Camp, they're great on Clubhouse. You know, I love all these new resources to meet people and connect. That it's amazing. It's such a great time to be in the world right now, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Clubhouse is a
with
great
Eric Campbell and Steph. Yeah, Steph and what's his name? I can't think of his name.
Daraj, the famous Daraj.
I want to say his real name, but Jared. I was like, wait, it's Jared's backward. Daraj.
Yeah. It took me a while. I always had to like spell it out, Jared, and like flip it and be like, oh, Daraj.
Yeah. I will just say that
is amazing. So,
if anybody, we actually had Daraj on our last sync panel for Finesse. So you guys can also go back to our YouTube and watch that too, because he gave some great gems of information on there.
Yeah. And groups like this are so beneficial, you know, and just, you know, also you have great collaborators here. That's another great way to meet people is I hope you all are talking and learning and collaborating with each other. And I mean, these types of groups are so fantastic.
Good. Yeah. No, good to know I'm a good company.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you.
That was a great question, Ty. Thank you. All right, so we are actually going to move into our listening session now. And we have so much great music that we're going to be listening to, and I want to give us just lots of opportunity to listen to that. And just for anybody who doesn't know, maybe hasn't been in a listening session at a Finesse event before, the whole purpose of a listening session is that artists from our community submit music and get feedback on that music from our panelists for every event that we have. So it's a great opportunity to get critical feedback from our panelists. And in this case, it's a great opportunity to get feedback on, maybe the sync potential of your music, maybe where they could see your music being placed. So I'm super excited to hear what our panelists have to say about all of our submissions. So we are going to
Jenna, can I have 30 seconds to grab more coffee real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yes, you are all good. We're gonna get set up.
Okay, perfect. So I will be back in like 30 seconds. I just
That's important.
don't want to take away from people's time, but I need my coffee.
Yes. All right. So yeah, Tammy, let me know when you are all set. Tammy's going to be sharing the submissions for us today. One of our lovely Finesse Media interns.
Okay. Can you guys see?
Yes, we can see.
Let me wait for.
Yeah, why don't we do it just a second? Got to get the coffee. That's important. I know it's early on the West Coast. Everyone's zooming in from different places. So like for me, it's the middle of the afternoon, but if you're on the West Coast, it's you had to hop on a little early. So. And while we're waiting, there's Jennifer. But I just wanted to say, before we jump into these submissions, if you guys learned something new, if you learned any new piece of information from any of what we just talked about, can everyone just like unmute and give a little like a woo woo or like a oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There we go. That was perfect. Thank you, everybody. That just made my whole day. Okay, so why don't we jump into these submissions? First off, we're starting off with These Wicked Games, which was a submission from Jake Warren, and the artist on the song is Grace Lloyd.
It all starts with a spark, and the spark turns to flames. We must finish what we start. Why do we play these wicked games?
I'm muted. I didn't want that one to stop. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Can you play it a little bit more? I want to see where it goes real quick.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you.
Why do we play these wicked games?
Thank you.
Okay. Why don't we get some feedback from our panelists? Jennifer, what do you think?
I love this song. Please send it to me. I have one production note. So this goes for probably everyone, so I don't have to repeat myself. When you're mixing, always make sure when you share music that it's broadcast ready to supervisors. I don't want any demos, unmixed, anything. That's not what I'm saying about this. When it gets really big with the drums, it's hard to hear the lyrics, and that would get flagged to me. And I'd be like, because I could see this being in like, have two versions of the song. This could be in a promo or a trailer, so there are no lyrics or any dial, I don't, just like bring down the drums a little bit so I could hear the lyrics more, because you would have more opportunity, because those lyrics are great and that would be used to promote things. I could use it in a TV show, I could do that. But I know exactly what a producer would say. I love this song, Jen, but what are they saying in there? This is not going to work for that scene. You need to find something else. Those little, like, just think about those things, especially for content. Remember, it goes to picture, it goes to stuff. What I also love about this song, it gives me space for dialogue. So I could use it not just in a montage. Remember that. Remember, I have to hear the words that people wrote in the script. That is the most important thing. That also bends with picture. Dialogue as part of the picture comment. But I love this song so freaking much. Please send it to me. So you could use this for different types of media. I love the lyrics. They're great for film and TV, but it doesn't sound like a sync song. I hate sync songs. Okay, I'm going to say that straight up. I love artistry. I love all that stuff. So yes, love this song. Go ahead, Angela. I'm sure you're going to have a lot more.
Oh no, it's you hit it. Oh, it's amazing. I loved it. I don't know how well it translates through Zoom, so it could be the mix as far as what you were saying, what Jennifer was saying, as far as with the vocals being buried. But if you know, if you, I mean, you know your song, so when you hear it, if you're like, okay, yeah, I can see the vocals need to come up, just bring them up a bit. It might just be where the mix engineer just has to go in there, or if you're the mix engineer, just go in there and put like an EQ, on it, and then just turn it up like 1 or 2 dB on the vocal track, and you should be fine. Just kind of bring that out of the mix. But I mean, it was so on point. Like I said, like Jennifer said, as far as it's sounding like, I mean, it sounds, it's amazing. It's exactly what needs to be out there. Send it to Jennifer. I'm sure she's gonna have a place for it because it's beautiful. If I was working on any projects, I'd say send it to me, but send it to Jennifer. It's beautiful. It's exactly what it needs to be.
Yes, thank you for that feedback. That was great feedback. I love all those points about kind of the production and areas for improvement. So thank you guys. So why don't we jump into our next submission, which is Chill by Ty McKinney. Ty, we saw you, you're in the house.
Yep, I'm in the house, I'm here.
I'm sitting at home, scrolling through my phone, waiting for your text. I bet you had a long day at work, and I just wanna be your medicine. Oh, picture me staring at the driveway, constantly grazing at my window pane. I don't know what the next line should be. I just want you right beside me. Oh, 'cause I just wanna chill. All I wanna do is, yeah, chill. All I wanna do is chill. Oh, chill. Now we can have breakfast in bed for dinner, or we can watch something on Netflix, or we can have a conversation about the state of the world. I just wanna be in your presence. Ooh, 'cause nobody sees me like you see me. No, no, no. Nobody gets me like you get me, and nobody touches me like you touch me.
That That was awesome. Why don't we start with some feedback from our panelists? Angela, do you want to start this time?
I got kind of disconnected from in the very first verse. I really like the hook. I like the fact that it's not, it has a really good vibe to it. It has this classic sound to it. The whole track has this classic sound to it. It's a really dope track. I missed the first verse, so I can't really speak to the lyrical content of that. I would just say when you're writing for sync, well, again, you're not writing for sync, but I've been told, and Jennifer, you can correct me if like how you feel about this, but I've been told that verse, as long as your chorus is really like is hitting, that a lot of times that's what really, people don't necessarily pay attention to the verses as much. I've used verses when I play music, I have. It really depends on the genre. I use the verse instead of the actual hook or the chorus or whatever. And let me just say this real quick. When you say hook, what hooks you in the song? It's not necessarily always the chorus. That song has, the production has a nice classic vibe to it. Just it's a dope song. I would watch specific lyrics. I like that you said we could do this. It's not that we're doing this. So I like that you did say that when you were saying about like we could do this, we could do that. Because it's not one of those things where it's so specific that you would have to look for that particular thing happening in the scene, which, yeah. But that's I think it's great. I think it's a great song. I think you need to send that one or definitely join the For Goodness Sync group, because there's briefs for those kind of classic songs in there all the time. So definitely join that group, because Tamara she had been posting those, and sometimes you see them in what's the other group called? What Up Pitches. You'll see some of those. I'll put it in the chat. But yeah, you'll see some of those pitches. I'm sorry, those briefs for those types of classic songs. Good job, great voice, great vocal. Just try not to rush your vocals on your. I'll just say this, because I don't like, when it comes to art, I'm just like, everybody's art is their art. And I know that's all of our babies, each thing we create, but you have to be, I'll just say this, for me, I don't like a whole lot of words, so, sometimes you might be able to cut back on some of your wordiness to let the track breathe a little bit. But again, that's just my opinion. As a creator, but it could be the perfect song for a scene. So, that's
great feedback.
Oh yeah, I definitely hear all that. So yeah, it's understandable.
Yeah, I agree with Angela. Great song. I love the timeless feel. That's never going to go away. The only thing I would have a problem with, you had specifics like Netflix, right? So be very careful about specifics. Again, this is your art. You could have a version that you pitch for sync that doesn't have the word, that is a little bit different. Remember we were talking about bending to picture. The problem with music, if it's too wordy, it doesn't bend. And also from like an A&R standpoint for songwriting, if it's really wordy, I kind of zone out of the story, right? Because with art, you have a great voice. I love the production, like, all that stuff. Maybe look at your songwriting and be like, is it too wordy? Again, this is your art, but just, think about how we consume music as a consumer, right? When songs are really wordy, we all zone out, right? Just like when there's a giant monologue on TV, you're like, is this dude still talking? Like we all of us now, we're in this headspace of less is more, people make a decision in the first 10 seconds. If they keep listening to a song, I keep listening, or still watch a TV show, right? So just think about that from an art point of view, as well as, just that. But like, this is a great song. Like, keep going, buddy. You're gonna get stuff. You're getting there. You're getting there. Keep honing in on your craft and maybe your songwriting and everything. But I love this stuff is not going anywhere. This type of vibe and timeless feel where it's modern but timeless, and I love your voice. It's unique in a good way.
Thank you.
Unique and accessible, which is what producers always say. I want something unique but accessible, and I'm like, okay. It's a fine line. It's a fine line, and your vocal has it. So congrats on that.
Thank you. Thank you both for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ty, for that submission. And thank you guys for
You're
your feedback.
welcome.
And I also want to plug just real quick. I saw Abby saying in the chat that all of these Facebook groups and Clubhouse groups we've been talking about, she threw right into the contact sheet. So if you guys want to hop over to the contact sheet and get all of those and start connecting with people in those, definitely do that. Thank you, Abby. You're the literal best. And there's the contact sheet right there. So why don't we move into our next submission? And this is On the Road by Elsie. Great. Why don't we start with Jennifer for feedback on this one?
Hi, Elsie. I know you. How you doing, girl?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I mean, you know, I'm a fan of yours. I love this track. The only note I would give your ooze step on your lyrics sometimes too much, and it muddles it. And you have such beautiful lyrics, and you're such a great storyteller that would be like, sometimes, you know I'm nitpicky. I know I'm nitpicking everything, but I just want to help, or give advice. It's your decision, your art, if you want to take it or not. My word is not the gospel, let's be real. But I love what you do. I think you have a gift, and just keep going. I would definitely have a version of that track where it's the instrumental and the ooze and the backing, that could also be used for editing. You could use that for ads. You could use that for other things as well. So I think for everyone, it's important to have different, things. Always have instrumentals. Always, if you have stuff that has ooze, make sure you have an instrumental version with the ooze. Also make sure you have, someone's like, can I just get the ooze? That you have that on hand for everyone. Yeah, Angela.
Thank you.
I can't stand my connection today. It's horrible. And I was hoping to have been home when I did all this. So I did miss some of it, but I love the blues. I love them. And I agree with Jennifer. Make sure you have those on a separate track. Because again, that, like you said, that's perfect for ads. I can hear that on an ad. Yeah. Great song. Great song.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys for that feedback. And thank you, Elsie, for that submission. All right, so our next song is Rampage. And the submission was from Sorry. The artist name is Sorry, Isaac Azari. And I see you in the house.
Yes.
I've been going through it so long. Anybody want it, they can ask for it. Do I got a plan? Nah, man, I just go for it. Top back, get smacked. You ain't get it, no one. It's sticking situation got me feeling type of ways. Don't don't wanna fight, but they try my name. Looking at the man in the mirror, with the man in the mirror. I don't think we're gonna stop today, man. I might go 8, no cap. The way they talk down on my name, no flash. You ever been stabbed in the back, stabbed in the back, stab, stab, stab so much, all you do is react. No second thoughts, mind just block. Fist that spit, every pain that knocks. Written off the tongue that flows. I'd rather stay true to my word than lie to my soul. I mean, not violent, not hostile, I don't just act out.
You're lying, you're hostile.
If you touch me, you may get smacked out. Like,
It's true.
I used to be that way, but whatever. Some folks got the nerve to try to try me. You ain't nothing but a basket behind me. I try, woosah, get my mind free. Who you think you are trying to spite me? I do not know you because you're out of your relevancy. I'm shaking the hater because he thinking he better than me. I gotta go get it back and I'm keeping it permanently. I'm moving and cruising and I'm not doing it dedically. I'm rocking, you're a jelly bean. There's someone ahead of me. If you try to embarrass me, you gonna need that medically. I've been doing good, but a P-Mom man try to try me. Brody got the first swing and I ain't proud to say it. But the way that man flew, it looked like he made it. It looked like he went back just like in the Matrix. It looked like he need up somebody come save him. They didn't want to do it, but man, he's temptation. Security holding me, y'all are amazing. Yeah, I guess these words hurt when I explain myself. This is not me, gotta put in irks to myself. Guess these pains come from another part of myself. What can I say? Glad you're here to help. But I've been going.
Ooh, that was definitely a switch up from some of the other ones we just listened to. All right, Jennifer, why don't we start with you?
I love that. You got some talent, my friend. Also, I would like to shout out, thank you for not using inappropriate or bad or cuss words to make your point. I feel like a lot of hip hop has to throw a lot of words in just because. I love your flow. I love your production. This would be broadcast ready. I wouldn't have to reach out and be like, hey, can I get a clean version of this or anything? And I love that there was space in your song. Your lyrics, your flow, the space in there. You know, no, I'm not a stick in the mud about language. It's just, these are things I have to think about on a lot of projects, you know, with standards and practices that, you know, we have to go through. I love the pockets you have in there. Please send me this. Are you a top liner, producer? Where are you from? Who are you?
I'm from Toronto. I produce my own track, so I produced this one. And with the language you were talking about, that was the main direction I was going with this, because I feel like too many artists want to, like, for my personal opinion, like there's too many cuss words. And plus, I got 2 siblings and I have a mom that listens to my music. So I'm not trying to get beat in the middle of my sleep. And she'd be like, did you cuss? I'm like, no, I swear. You didn't even listen to the whole thing. You just heard the roughness of it. But yeah, I'm from Toronto, based in Scarborough.
Great.
I answered the question.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that keeps you out from it. Like Daraj, right, is a great hip hop artist and he's the same. And I don't think you need, you know, that's how you stick out right now, because everyone is throwing that stuff in, and especially for hip hop, we've been noticing that. And also, you know, everyone's so kind of sort of looking for, we're so, you know, when you don't notice something type of thing, but that really stuck out to me. And I know that would stick out to an editor, would stick out to my producers, because they'd be like, this is like some top released 40 hip hop music. And like, oh my gosh, I don't have to like be like, hey, I need a clean version. Or if I were to send it to, you know, standards and practices, they would be like, yeah, no flags. And I'd be like, oh my God, I don't have to get creative with flags. So thank you for being true to your art and doing what's best for you, because there are people out there that, you know, this is a missing gap in this space, I feel.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was fuego. It was good. It was like, it went hard. And like Jennifer said, no profanity. There's, who is it? What is his name? Gosh, why does his name slip my, Jennifer, you know who I'm talking about. Daraj is one. The other guy, it's a missing space. You like she said, you're on the right track, because you have a lot of music. I mean, there's shows that ask for stuff that they don't care if it has profanity in it. You have your power, and you have those types of shows that are like, okay, that's fine. But I mean, just the fact that it went hard and you didn't have to do all that. It was just like, again, it stands above the rest. So good job on that.
Yeah, adds everything. Like there's not like, oh, is there a clean version? I mean, seriously, you've hit a market that is huge and a lot of opportunities out there. And also, especially for shows that we're doing original music for, to work with producers and artists that know how to do. I mean, seriously, I'm like, this song, it's probably gonna blow up, you know, that know how to do this type of art where I don't have to be like, hi. So because it's an original song, we can't have XYZ, you know, and you know how to make something that is truly fire without having to throw in profanity or certain things. So definitely, yeah.
Kudos.
Sorry,
yeah,
I'm just fangirling. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet now.
No, that was great feedback. Thank you guys both for that feedback, and thank you for that submission. I think that brought up a great point. You know, we have quite a few like hip hop, rap artists in our community, and that's a good thing to keep in mind if sync is something that you want for your music. Keeping in mind that at least having a clean version is important, but even creating music that doesn't need a clean version at all could be a good avenue for you to go down.
I'm also going to give you one little secret that most people don't realize about the word clean version. Clean version is not just language. I'm talking about production. In the US, if something sounds like the cocking of a gun or a gunshot, it's not clean and I can't use it.
Exactly.
So that is something that people don't realize, or I'm like, hi, this isn't a clean version. And they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, that wasn't the intention of the point of the production. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's going to get flagged. I can't even submit it. So just keep that in mind with your production as well.
That's a great point. I hope everyone wrote that down. That's a really good thing to keep in mind. What clean really means when it comes to clean version is just not just the language. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
All right, so let's move into our next submission, and it is from Shine, who I know I saw in the room as well, and it's called Going Gone.
Hey everyone, this is from my upcoming debut EP. I'm a producer and I do vocals on this track as well.
Is it playing for you guys?
No, you might need to reload it. Maybe it's because you've had it open. Yeah, maybe just reload the page. Love technology.
Oh my God, it won't let me reload.
There we go. Ooh, love we got a little instrumental action. of having these submissions. All right, why don't we start with Angela? What did you think?
It was dope. I didn't realize it was an instrumental until like I was like, okay, where the song comes in? Where did the song come in? And then my connection went out because my battery was about to die. But no, it was great. It was good. I mean, instrumental beds are needed all the time. I didn't get to hear like if there was, the different movement in it, if there was any, changes or sweeps or anything like that, or, areas where it drops down. If there aren't anything, if there's not anything in there like that, that's something that you want to make sure you add in there, some different builds and some dropouts. Unfortunately, like I said, the track stopped on me in the middle of it. I was sitting here like, wait, is it just me and then I was just hearing something. So, but yeah, no, I like, the beat goes hard. I mean, it's really good, but like I said, I didn't get to hear if there were any builds or if there was any change ups. You want to have different sections, even if there's instrumentals, because, you never know, you never know if it's going to be played throughout a whole scene. I mean, you don't want to just loop and loop and loop and loop. And I can't tell right now if it did that. So I would have to hear it again when I watch a replay or something and maybe send you some feedback that way. But yeah, it came in really nice. So again, I didn't know it was an instrumental until, I came back from the disconnection. It was still playing. So I was like, oh, it was instrumental. Cool. So, yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was really cool. It does need some builds and everything, because I could see for this, we would put it in as a temp track to kind of lay down for the composer and say like, this is kind of really cool, we like, but we want it to build and flow more. So I think you are on the right track. I would just continue to hone in your craft, because I love what you do. I think it's really freaking cool. It's unique. I love it. The problem is I would send it to my music editor and say, let's use this as a temp track, as a composer spot, just so that they can understand the quirky that we want to go for, but we would do something different. And I don't want you to be a temp score wonder. I want you to literally hone in on your craft and to kind of do with this, because if this showcases what you do, I can't wait to see you grow, because this is a good start, but you got a lot of work in a positive way to do, because, I could see, as you honing your craft, people hiring you to produce their records, right? If you start to learn a little more, you could be like a really cool, quirky composer if you learn a little bit more how to do, and this is just based off this. I don't know your other work, so I apologize if there's other things that have representation in this. But if you really hone in your craft, you could also maybe think about maybe composing to see how that works, with this quirky thing for certain things, not like an overall composer, but, I would hire you to do maybe the production on something if you could, if I could see some ebbs and flows on stuff. So we need some builds, we need some stuff, because right now it's super cool. And then it's monotonous, it's flat. And I'm like, I want more, give me something better. So you're on the right track, my friend. Just keep working, keep building your craft, experiment. It was really cool. I loved it. Like I can't wait to hear how it grows.
I want to ask something else, because I can look at the waveform and then I can definitely tell that, it does, like she said, get monotonous and loops more. Because that is my I'm mainly a singer-songwriter producer. I started producing because I didn't have people producing for me, and I kind of stumbled into producing. I've been producing now for over 15 years. There is a guy though, Nick Phelps. He's really dope, and he has a course called "Make That Shit Modern." Excuse my French, but that's the name of the course. Okay. Like I said, I've been producing for a long time. I took the course just because I wanted to support him. I thought he's a really dope guy. I wanted to see what he did. He has some really good tidbits in there, but I would say some sweeps, some drops, some builds that can be really, it can be as simple as taking out a few instruments, bringing them back in, adding something different, like add a new element, maybe every 4 to 8 bars, just to kind of give it something, and then let the beat let the instrumental tell a story as well. Just because there aren't any vocals over top of it doesn't mean it can't tell a little bit of a story. But yeah, this is really good. It's a great start, and check out Nick Phelps. He has, like I said, he has a course, and I recommend it because it's fun and you get to learn how to make things more modern, and fit into what's going on right now. And it's not that this isn't modern, because I think it really is modern. It has that quirkiness and it's really cool. So yeah, Nick's everywhere. You can find him.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Angela.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Thank you
that's great.
for the feedback. I really appreciate all the pointers.
Yeah, thank you for that submission, Shine. That was great. All right, so we just got 2 final submissions for our listening session, 2 last songs to get us set for the rest of our Saturdays. And the first of those 2 is You from Queen Mars.
Sapphire waves, kaleidoscope summer has his hand on my waist. There's a chain of ghosts and lovers, and I give him a 10. Takes a year for my recovery, though I still see his face. I find some peace in arms of others. Can't stop thinking about. Oh no. All I want is you only want me when I don't want me when I'm gone. Embers of flame fall like autumn confetti, and I'm lying awake while you sleep and just forget me. Winter's coming in waves, going under, turning colder, and I'll sit and replay vintage romance, burning summers.
That was great. All right, so why don't we get some feedback? Jennifer, do you want to start? And then we'll move into our final submission.
Okay. I'm excited. I was like, name like Queen Mars. I like had an image in my head. This is exciting. So was there a weird effect on the backing vocal? Because when the song starts off, it was very busy to me. I couldn't understand. Maybe the backing vocal or the person you're singing with, it gets very muddy for me. And I can hear the bones of the song and I like it. It's just, it feels like you need to go back in and maybe take away some of those effects or something. I don't know if it was just on the Zoom, but I just felt like it was a little muddy. And with the production, it was going over and it was a lot. And then as I got the song in, like as a supervisor, if I heard that, I wouldn't have continued on the song. And there was like that great stop, and then your vocal comes in and it's really great. I think just a note from everyone, be careful your production just doesn't get too complex to destroy, you think you're adding something, but sometimes you're taking away. And then with the back end, I think there's a guy in your picture. I can't see that maybe. I don't know if you're a duo or something, but give it a little diversity of, I want to hear everything. I feel like what I heard with the lyrics, I'm like, oh, this is a great song. And am I making sense?
Yeah, no, you're definitely making sense.
Okay, I just,
there is like a dubbed voice underneath, and like I can see how that could kind of like bring it down a little bit and make it a little bit too heavy and muddy.
Yeah, so maybe just, go back in and maybe rework it. I mean, that's not just for like a content thing, that's also as a listener, right? Because you want to build your fan base. Everyone wants to build their fan base, right? Remember, content brings fans to you, you bring fans to content. It's a beautiful relationship with art and content. So, I want to see, you maybe rework the song. I'd love to hear when you rework it as well. Anyone that played songs today, please reach out, like, type of thing. Or anyone here, they don't have to just play songs, but yeah, just kind of, I think you're onto something. I love your vibe. I love your voice. I love your aesthetic. I just would love for you to go back in and maybe take out that dub thing. But I definitely see where you're going, girl. Keep going.
Thank you.
All right, that was, yes, thank you so much for that feedback. Thank you, Queen Mars, for the submission. I want to jump into our final song just because I want to be, cognizant of everyone's time. So we're going to end the day with Blessings from Nehemiah.
Let the blessings fall down forever and ever. Oh, let the blessings fall down forever and ever.
Oh, I hear the prophecy, always down to build it like Monopoly. Wanna hear my son say dad is proud of me. Overthink it, I just see it from the balcony. Friends, why don't you come over like you're Valerie? Working on my salary, balancing all this back and forth for life's agenda. I could tell you that it's challenging, rooting for you like you do your favorite college team. When you do the good work, the blessings gon' be following. Whoa. And I know you're going through a hard time. Everything's gonna be alright. I know it's time to get through life, but it'll get better. There's joy, praise what you feel deep inside. Don't cut wings, cause an angel's supposed to fly. Can't back down when you reach for the sky. Don't stress now, blessings fall in line. Blessings fall down forever and ever. Oh, let the blessings fall down forever and ever. Oh, let the blessings fall down forever and ever. Oh, let the blessings fall down forever and ever. Oh, let the blessings fall.
Ooh, I feel like everybody's like high and happy now. That was great.
Oh my gosh, oh my goodness, that song is fantastic. You're like a modern Macklemore, but with a different twist that's like unique. Oh, you are gonna go far, my friend. I love everything about that song. I love the artistry.
Yes.
I also would like to point out, so the production, which really, this song's a great example about how we have this really cool beat in production, but it really works with the lyrics and the vocals, and they don't step on each other. It's this beautiful relationship. So I just wanted to point that out as an example of really good, like your production and your beat with your vocals and just how everything was layered on top. Like this song's got in sync, right? It has to. It's so freaking good.
It hasn't, not yet.
What? Man, I wish I heard the song years ago when I worked on the Voices of Fire. I almost said what it was originally called, Voices of Fire on Netflix with Pharrell. Like, shoot, man, I could have used this like on that show. I mean, Mazel. I mean, I don't even know. Please send it. just so I can start my day a little happy. Like, oh my gosh. I mean, I don't know what feedback you're looking for. I feel like you know who you are, you know your craft, you know your artistry, and just keep going at it. Build your fan base, get those people there. And where are you located?
I'm in Chicago. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Cool. And are you a producer? You said your wife did the vocals. Are you a producer, writer, top liner? What's going on?
Yeah, writer, rapper, songwriter. Yeah, my friend made the production, everything from scratch, made it in like an hour. He's insane. So
what? How are you signed? How are you not signed if you're not signed? Sorry, I'm fangirling. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone.
You're good. I like being independent. I like being able to make my own music.
Yeah.
So I mean, if the opportunity is right, then I'll do that. But I like where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just meant like, you manage? Like, what's going on with you? You got a manager? You got...
If you want, we can definitely talk.
Yeah. No. I mean, no, independent's great. Just, whether you're signed or unsigned, independent, major, whatever. Remember, they're extension of your team. They work for you. You work with them. You don't just sit back. It's an equal hustle. If whatever you decide to do with your artistry, make sure it's the right team members. Even if you're signed to a major, that doesn't mean success. There's so many great independent platforms out there with great teams that have great sync teams. They have great distribution teams. Do the research on different people. If you're working with a sync company, just really research them. I will say this with third-party sync agents, no one should be touching your copyright. That's unethical and it's not standard. So if they try to say it's standard, it's really not. So I hear of amazing artists and writers getting in these situations that break my heart, and I just want to say, if they're like, no, it's standard for me to touch your copyright, that's not true, and you need to run. So just to say that. And also there's really great independent distribution platforms that can help you with your marketing and really build your fan base that, you know, again, it's an administrative deal. They don't touch your stuff. So do your research, everyone. There's so much talent in this group. Jenna, thank you for inviting me. I always love, like, I swear.
Yeah, of course.
I don't mind getting up early for this. It's always like great people, great talent. I see a lot of familiar faces, which makes my heart happy. So
yes, thank you so much for being here. And thank you, Angela, as well. I am so glad that you guys could come on and share all this information. I did want to say, because we had a couple people asking in the chat, like, if they want to send you music, or if they had music in the listening session today, they want to send your way, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
I'll put my one of my emails in there. I am going to say this: do not send. Angela probably hears this too. Like, she probably has the same thing. Do not send me an MP3 or WAV file attached to an email. Please send me, like, Disco is my best friend. It's every music supervisor's best friend. When I worked at Cobalt and was pitching, I wish I had Disco, because if I have to download things, it's just, I may not get to it. I'm one person. Also, make sure your metadata is correct and includes your contact information. For the love of God, please. Like, they have the song title, they have the artist, the writers, but you forget, it's like your business card, people. Your business card. So yeah, so, you know, just send me an email, be a human, please. If I don't respond to you, it's nothing personal. I am one person. Please don't be blasting this email on the internet, which I know people can figure out. It's not that ninja. Yeah, just, you know, just tell me where we met, right? Because I get so many emails, like, I see a lot of familiar faces, and, you know, Angela's probably the same. Just be human, make sure your metadata is up to date, song title, you know, make sure your song's registered. If it's one stop, means you own and can quote both sides. That does not mean your homeboy has a piece of it and you're like, yeah, it's fine. Unless you have a deal with them, it's not one stop. Like, get your business buttoned up. All that stuff. But yeah, I mean, you know, and also, like, if you're sending me a song, like, let me know a little bit about you. Are you a producer? Are you a writer? Who are you? Like, what types of stuff do you not work on, but, you know, let me get to know you. Like, if I don't know you you can do certain things, like, I wouldn't know to reach out, right? Like, you know, be human. Let's have a conversation. It's not such a take, or like, please give, you know, just, it's about establishing relationships and everything.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You can DM me on Instagram, Rat Dance Party. Sometimes that's easier. I don't know. It just depends on my day, because I'm a one-person machine.
Yeah, that's great. And I saw Angela put her email in the chat as well. So we'll put both of those onto the contact sheet, which, by the way, one more plug for the contact sheet before we get going. All the information that was shared, all the Facebook groups and Clubhouse groups, and the contact information for everyone here will be on that doc. So that is your place to go if you want to connect with anyone here. Thank you again to our panelists, to our audience. This was amazing. I plug the contact sheet. I want to plug Finesse VIPs. If you want to become more involved in our community, we do have kind of a VIP Finesse group that helps you to get more involved in our events. So definitely take a look into that. There's links to that everywhere, and you can check out our website as well. And just let everybody who's here know, our next event next week is our music journalism event hosted by Abby and Marley, and that is going to be amazing. So definitely come out to that next week. But yeah, that pretty much brings us to the end. I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of their Saturday, and hopefully I'll see some of you guys next week. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jenna. I enjoyed it. I'll be getting in touch with you, Jennifer.
All right. Great to meet everyone. Thank you, Jenna. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for sending all the music. You guys are amazing.
Bye,
everyone. Thank you.